Amacha malungi gwe munafe atukereddeko ku mpewo zaffe za the alternative digital the mighty drive ye program ye kutuuseko ebeerawo buli lunaku essaawa ebeeremu ey'okumakya paka ssaawa 3. It is a Wednesday, ennaku z'omwezi ziri 9 December omwaka 2020. Tubala ennaku tubala mbale ezibulayo okuyingira omwaka omupya ate tuyingire mu kulonda okubindabinda nako tukubalira nnaku naye nga ate njagala obbakubiriza nti ate olunaku luli lutuuka nga 14th January 2021. Please you get out and go and vote. Farida Bikobere is my name. Olwaleero nkoze ne munnange omukyala omulungi ennyo ayina eddoboozi erigoggofu. Saagala kumwogera linnya lye, agenda kubanga ate yeyanjula then omugenyi waffe naye yeyanjule kubanga ate yatutuuseeko dda tuli naye mu studios omukyala Rebecca Adile Becky agenda kubanga tunyumyamuko naye for the next 2 hours atubuulire manifesto ye why she choose to stand for woman lord councillor e Nakawa, atubuulire biki byalina mu basket for Nakawa, atubuulire n'akalulu kamuyisiza kati budde bwa covid given the fact that ate ye mukyala ate nga n'akasente tekaliwo bulungi nnyo ye nomination fees yazijjawa bamusondera oba ye akasente akalina byonna agenda kubanga ate abitunyumiza ffe tubagamba nti everywhere we have a woman in the studios bonna abakola babeera bakyala kubanga ate twagala nnyo promotinga omwana omuwala naawe ali eyebweru ofune inspiration ku mugenyi gwe tuba tukyaziza ajja kubabuulira ye ate inspiration yagijjawa because every guest we bring in the studios mubaako ne kyemumuyigirako ate abaako ne hope jawa abantu abalala. At this time njagala ate my co-host introducing it then omugenyi waffe agenda kubanga ate ababuuzaako then program egende maaso. Farida Bikobere, once again welcome to the show. This is the Mighty Drive.
Abalabi baffe abalungi babuuzaako nti mwasuze mutya. Amanya gange nze Lilian Luwedde era nga nesimye nnyo okubeera ku Mighty Drive. Tugenda kuba tubaweereza paka ssaawa 3 ez'okumakya. Omugenyi waffe yatutuuseeko dda era ng'akwatira ddala obudde. Tuli naye mu studios agenda kuba tubuuzaako atweyanjule n'oluvannyuma tugende mu maaso. Buuza kuba tulaba. Buuza kuba tulaba ku Mighty Drive.
50% English and 50% Luganda. You're welcome to the show. May you please say hi to our viewers?
Hello.
No, you have.
Hello, my name is Achom Rebecca Adile. Sanyisiza nnyo beera namwe leero ku makya eno. Sanyisiza nnyo the alternative inviting. I am so happy that I am being hosted by young women. It's inspiring, it's energizing. Emirimu gye mutambula ndaba kirungi nnyo neyanzizanye neyanziike.
Ndowooza olulimi mujja kulutusonyiwamuko Oluganda talumanyi bulungi, so for this show she will give it a 70% English then Oluganda lubeere 30% because she's more comfortable with English okusinga Oluganda. We want her message to reach to that person gwayagala yetukeka ate tunamukako olulimi lwatategeera bulungi tajja ate kubanga atuusa message ye naye nga ate olwaleero tugenda tambulira ku quote egamba nti if people are doubting how far you can go so far that they can't hear you anymore. If people are doubting how far you can go so far that you can't hear them anymore. If people are doubting how far you can go so far that you can't hear them anymore. That is the quote that is going to guide our discussion for today. We have a young woman in the studios. Twagala tumanye ye confidence yajijawa okuba nti yesimbawo esente yazijawa byonna agenda kubanga ate abitubuulira naye nga ate olwaleero program egenda kubako yanjawulo egenda kuba nnyo ya luzungu okusinga Oluganda because our guest is more comfortable with English ate okusinga Oluganda. Twagala message ye etuuke kwoyo omuntu gwayagala etuukeko, so we are going to give her that chance to use the language that she is comfortable with. Achom, once again welcome to the show. You are on the Alternative Digital and the program is called The Mighty Drive. Someone would really wish to know who is Achom Becky.
Achom Becky is a 27-year-old woman, a mother, a sign language interpreter, by profession. I work with deaf children. And so for what other people would call, I use my hands to speak to people who do not hear. And so I am also an activist, a women's rights activist to be specific, and also a feminist and a politician. And so my experience has kind of groomed and taught me to be the person I would want to be. And so for many, I would call my life struggle as every other woman's struggle in Uganda. So we are living in an era where we must relate and connect with our struggles as every other person struggles. And so coming into the political world, I come to re-echo the struggle of every young woman or every young person in Uganda. Yes.
Why did you choose to come for Woman Lord Councillor Nakawa for?
Yes.
Why not MP or some other position? Someone would say you qualified to be an MP. Why did you choose to stand for Woman Lord Councillor?
Everyone qualifies to be an MP. The only problem is the qualifications, which is the paper documents they put on us. I think for me, what first brought me to stand for LC5 Councillor is I've been raised in Nakawa. I know the issues of Nakawa. I have experienced the issues of Nakawa from the age of 3 until I was almost an adult. I have grown in Nakawa, been groomed in Nakawa, went to what they would call the meekest schools in Nakawa, including Luzira SS, Makshonbe Primary School inside the prisons barracks, nursery inside the prisons, which is all in Nakawa. And so I connect with this as my home, as my root.
Oh, yes.
And so this has encouraged me to grow up. So for someone from a prison background, it's what I would call prison break. and so I want to encourage other young people stand, but also help in growing the leadership of my area.
Oh, yes.
It's about owning my people, owning my history, owning the struggles of my people. And so Nakawa has its issues of leadership. It has also had its advantages of leadership. And so we want to, I want to now speak as an FDC at this point.
Oh, yes.
We want to bring to the forefront leadership that understands the issues of Nakawa and the people of Nakawa, and that can easily connect with the people of Nakawa.
Oh, thank you. You, in your introduction, you said you are a women rights activist. What gives you the passion to push on? What gives you that passion to stand up and advocate for women rights?
So
People say you people are paid to go on the streets and strike and do all that. Is it true? Is it money?
are you paid to have a beautiful voice? No. So literally what I would want to say is the struggles of every Ugandan, we must learn to connect with it. And so if we cannot connect with people's struggles, if I cannot relate with your voice as a young woman, re-echoing it, if I cannot connect with my woman who I want to represent, who sells at a stall maybe of less than 20,000, if I don't come from that history and background, or if maybe I don't have that history and background, I cannot understand, then I cannot support them. Now, as a women's rights activist, I would say it's a journey of growth. To be an activist, it's a grooming, it's also a passion.
Oh, yes.
And so some passions don't die. Every time you're a woman and you see someone dying, as a feminist, forgive my redirection and continuing to push in more words. And so as a feminist, I believe in the pros for women and men, not just the women.
Just women.
But we want to say that the world has been so pro-men, and so women need to be also lifted to some point. And so when I come to this arena and I see a position, that means I feel to support an affirmative position that feels to support the needs of the women at council. The highest ranking council in Kampala, where policies will be passed that affect Kampala city. I feel it in. I first to have internalized that and then feel in and then decide to stand. And so for me, my history, my understanding of my struggles of the people of Nakawa, and especially of the women of Nakawa. Nakawa, if I may go back forth, like I said before.
Yes.
I grew up in the prisons, a young woman. You see, for anyone who has grown up in the prisons, you don't expect to reach university. The time I was growing up, I think my father could have earned maybe 200,000 as a salary. And so with many children, do you expect to go that far? You have different struggles around schools. You have different struggles around being accepted in. I remember at some point in S6 where I walked into a class and I wanted to get back to school, and the head teacher told me, "Mwabaana b'abasirikale mututawanya nnyo, temwagala sasula fees." But the thing is, they want to pay fees. They don't have the money, exactly. And so when I look at my life circle, you'd find that most of my OBs, my OGs, bazeyo mu barracks nabo bafande. Okitegeera. So ekintu ekyo kikukubako bomu. So your first social capital abafande. So okula atya. Oli akola ku command. They have no, even when they want to say they're independent, they're not independent. True. Because they are order from above. And so there is no space for you to grow. So it's like a prison break from that vacuum. Then grow your own, grow your wings and grow the people that live. So my struggle is a prison break for the people of Nakawa. Nakawa is a place with so many barracks. I have, in my election, I have 2 barracks to win. And so this is an election of titans.
As a young leader who is a woman, we know or we expect you have a lot of challenges, but we go right there. We have to first look back to your political journey. Did you start leadership, or have you just joined leadership, or you started the leadership way back then when in high school maybe you were a prefect some time back in school, or you have just joined leadership?
I wouldn't say I started leadership now. I would say leadership was also an inbuilt thing, but the beauty of most of my leadership, it's actually been a journey, a mentorship journey. I want to acknowledge some people that have walked with me in this journey, both in the political world, but also in the NGO world, because I have also walked that path. And so I would want to say I started leadership early. Even when you go to my history, you'd find at primary I was a leader, I was a prefect. You'd find at university, even at secondary, I was a class councillor, counseling my fellow youth, my fellow classmates. I was also a head prefect. At A-level, I was also a head girl. At university, I headed the coordination of the Justice Forum, GEMA political party. So I didn't start my history in the FDC party. And so I have been able to be groomed by even a party considered to be an Islamic party, and so it has brought the world view for me. I have also worked with organizations. For say, I have also been the Young Leaders Forum coordinator for Uganda, a position I held for a year. I've also been a member of the Alternative, I think, as the spokesperson. I'm happy to have left for you. In this journey, I have also worked with organizations, many especially in the women's rights organizations. And so in a sense, it has helped grow me. Because every time you hold a position, you hold roles to play. And so you must fulfill them. And so it grows you, it grooms you, it puts you at a level of understanding and at a journey.
That's where my question comes in.
Yes.
You know, like you said, you were a leader in school, even growing up. But then we have these people who have been leaders in schools and their passion dies along the way. What has really pushed you to stand up to this level?
For me, I would say what has pushed me is a factor of the people I associate with. You see, there is that African saying, "Dagako mikwano jotano, bijakudaga gwani."
Who you are.
Exactly. Show me 5 of your friends and I'll tell you your character. So the 5 people I would move with, work with, have determined how I grow my journey. They have determined whether I am a real feminist. They have determined whether I am an activist. And so also the people who mentor me really put you back in line into your journey and into your calling. And so you find that you stay with focus on what you want. So it came as a shocker because most people said, Becky is going to stand for LC3. If the propaganda was there, I was like, this journey started 2 years ago. and the mentors knew that this journey is going to council. It is not going to 3. And so it shocked many people. But what I would want to say is 5 top friends, 5 destiny, that is who you become.
We have one of the people from the prison break, you might call it that. Our quote is, if people are doubting how far you can go, go so far that you can't even hear them. But in fact, you work hard to prove them you can even go far away. To inspirational to story, Yamchala Rebecca, it's where we got our quote, because we're looking at her background and where she is now. Someone would stand somewhere and clap for her because she has put in the energy and she is passionate about what she does. But our nyine twagala tubulize Chala Rebecca, as an activist, when do you join activism?
Activism, I don't want to say I joined now. I don't want to say I joined in 2016. I would want to say I joined maybe at university.
Oh, at
my
university.
First activism.
Those are how many years back?
I graduated in 2015. And so I was in Chambogo between 2013 and 2015. And so my first activity was student activism.
Who are these people that inspired you to join activism?
I would want to call out very many people, but I speak more to the different types of activism.
Oh, yes. Specifically women rights activists.
In Uganda, I would call out Dr. Stella Nyanzi.
Oh, Dr.
A comrade in the struggle, feminist, someone I would quickly relate with. I would call out the passion in Ingrid Nawe. I would also call out passions from Kenya.
Oh, yes.
I know some little young female activists there, but
Kenya.
they have pulled me out through a sisterhood. I would also want to call out some few from Zimbabwe and South Africa. But what I would want to say is activism is like I said before, a passion. And so for me, maybe okumira tiagas ekuyigiriza muko TNC si juisi oino soko onywemu waragiemu boom ekube otenti
oterere mulaimi.
This is the way to go. Yes, they are going to hit me, but I need to fight on. And so my first ever acceptance, because even while at Chambo go, we just go and do this, but you don't think it's really going to hit on you. Mira tear gas, then you run back to hostel. But my first activism, I would call it, is in 2015 at the eve of election towards to the 2016 election, when the FDC women leader Zaina Fatum, also standing now for Lord Councillor, was arrested and undressed. And so as the women, I wasn't FDC then, but as a women's rights activist and someone who believes in the women's agenda for Uganda, I believed it was my role also to stand out and go and demonstrate. And so as a young woman, that was my first very head-on activity. And so nayambala gomasi wange nange nengamba nedda kino tetujajikiriza tebaza tweyambulira mu kalulu. And so it happened, but beautifully with the alternative it put it to a different level. When in 2018, when there was a lot of murders of the women, I'm glad I was called out and asked to speak for the women of Uganda. And so I went to Parliament under this very house and demonstrated and screamed my voice out, my tiny little voice, when it decides to be tiny, and got angry. And it's good to be angry.
Yeah, it is.
It is a healthy thing to be angry. And so when we screamed and spoke, the world heard. The women's movement rose. The alternative drove. And so for years, I think for me, that I would call it, was the spark of my activism. That even while you went to jail, you were comforted that for once you spoke out and you spoke as one voice.
And the world had.
And the world had.
For the past 5 years, how has been your journey as an activist? Is it a bed of roses?
It can
like everyone would wish to join activism.
Activism can never be a bed of roses in this Uganda or in this world. Why I would think that is one, in a dictatorial country like Uganda, even when people want to disagree, it cannot be soft. There is tear gas, there is intimidation, there is abuse, there is not being accepted by society. And so for very many young female activists or even male activists, there is the whole bias towards you. And so you keep on imagining, am I doing the right thing? Until it's like going to learn to cook. Am I cooking the right way? Is my food perfect? Is it the right? Until you really know that I'm doing the real spices. This is the way the ingredients should go. The world will accept it or not. This is how my food comes. And so for me, I think it's not easy, but it's about you just accepting your meal.
I will re-echo my question again that I started with. Are you people paid as activists to go and strike on the streets, as people allege, or it is passion? If it is passion, where do you get this passion?
You can't be paid to scream enough. You can't be paid to scream enough. Wadde weetendera kubeera nti we baba kwadde sente oyo kwasama nti bagamba nti twasama bubi nnyo naye tewali sente zisobola okukkiriza nti nawe otekeyo omubiri bakuba emiggo nti otekeko omubiri omuntu akuvume poliisi ekuswaze. There is no amount of payment that can do that. And so I would want to say it's activism. Not everyone is an activist, but also not everyone is a politician. But we can all be leaders. And so for me, I would call activism as a calling and a passion. And so if it works for you, and the beauty of activism is it's a journey. How an activist works in their young age may not be how they handle their old age. And so you'd find a beautiful activist in his old age with a different way of his calling, which is different from a young person. And so I would say it's a passion. It's about what speaks to you. It's about the issue you believe in. And for me, I'm a young person. I know I am passionate for young people, but I am wild for women.
Oh, yes.
And so my activism is on that center.
Our first 30 minutes of the show are always on the person we have in the studios. Abatubulira obulamu bwejavudde ne waba ali kati saawe no so mulaba nti ndoza abatulaba mujja mu kigoberera nti the first 30 minutes of the show omuntu aba yeyogera kutuba tumanya background ye fa abamu tuyinza okuba nga tumanye because we might have read about her. Naye nga
who join every day.
Yes, so every 30 minutes of the show abantu abagala okumanya ani gwe toyina ye yavaawo okutuukaawo. So that is the importance of the 30 minutes of the show. Bannange ka video ko kaganya oku downloading, we would have shown you the video of her striking on the streets nga advocating for women rights, those who were killed nga omanye mabega ka abala bali batibwa nga osanga nga bamuse bakoze kino bamurepinze ne bamutta. So she came out with a few of other members nagamba no ekimala kimala. So we have the video, but unfortunately we cannot, you have it. I think tujjaka kubanga tugenda mu bulango bwa second hour of our show. So we have the video mujja kuba mulaba guest waffe gwe tulina mu studio singa agamba nedda byayogera teyenyumya byayogera. All right, right there we have the videos on the screen. She is the one those you can relate. Wali alina short hair but she is the one those abamutereke eddoboozi then like mugulire.
You cannot fight for us. When we are killed, you ignore us. When we are killed, you think we are not humans. I refuse. The MPs, why discuss money? Money to your pockets. Bedbugs of this nation. You are sucking us dry. Bedbugs of this nation.
Who are you?
We are the alternative. I demand for justice for the women.
Ndoza ate omugenyi waffe gwe tuli nayo mu studios mumulaba awo yali agamba we are not pigs. We are human. We are women. We deserve to be treated like human beings. Nozate ka video tekalimba omuntu ye yomu gwe tulina mu studios zaffe. She is coming as the Lord Woman Councillor owe Nakawa. Councillor 5 owe Nakawa. So gwe tulina ye kati tugenda kushiftinga emboozi from her personal life to Nakawa. Ebizibu bye Nakawa byo yabitegedde. Yo amanyi abantu be Nakawa kye baagala. So we tulaga for our next 30 minutes before. Then twogere ku feminism. As we close our show, what gave her the passion to be a feminist? But feminist, feminism is overrated. feminism is overrated somewhere. So, you're not going to have a discussion. Tujefuna tugenda kukuba kasavu kanyama wona areas zetu zikwate muko aberenga ate munange gw'omuwala ali ewaka otudde toyagala kola we kubagiza ate kino munange overe nti nawe ofuna inspiration okuva ku Rebecca akuwe hope because abantu balina different stories ate nga ate balina engeri gye bamanagize to maneuver through ne batuuka ate we bali saawa eno. We are in Nakawa now patunolire abantu be Nakawa bo ebizibu bye Nakawa Rebecca wabitegedde nabibe I've what bikuzemu ate okusinga kwonna nange bibaddemu. As in, sometimes we need to own our problems. Ngabe Nakawa. Yes.
One of our biggest problems is education. Twagala gamba nnyo nti government etuyambye, tikina government etuyambye ngabe Nakawa. Mu by'emirimu government etuyambidde ddala.
But someone would say Nakawa has a lot of industries around, so we know nti abantu abenakawa you have the chances industry ekubeera okumpi gwalina akakisa akasooka okugenda osaba omulimu
omanyi osobola beera nga yeggwe tata w'ennyumba naye nga n'abaana bo tebalya mmere mu nyumba yo olina mujja as in you have a stepmother in the house. So in Nakawa we want to accept that we are the industrial hub of Kampala. But we also want to acknowledge that even while we're industrial hub, we have the factories, we have everything, but we don't have the jobs for young people. Why? For starters. And this is not to call out other areas around us, but we know for a fact that most of the workers in Nakawa are not voters of Nakawa, do not stay in Nakawa. You just come to work. And so you find young people, young women, young boys in Nakawa languishing at home. And in this campaign, this has been something that we visibly know and have experienced. That you see, olwegulo jalaba factory nga abantu bavaayo. Naine taxi zijuza
zibatwala yes.
Abenakawa tebasobola. Tebalina we batandikira. And it's not because we don't want to work.
Could someone say you are reluctant?
I would want to say it's also an issue of leadership. It's an issue of leadership that have we prioritized now for our young people that we can also as leaders get them into these places that they want to work.
Couldn't someone think that your leader or your earlier MOP went and lobbied and maybe an industry was set up somewhere? Could they still come and knock at your door to tell you go and apply? There are some jobs.
For every smart leader, there should be advocacy. I would want to call out that Nakawa has been lucky to have Honorable Kabaziguruka in the last 5 years, also a member of the FPC. Because we also know, before the last 5 years, Nakawa, otumanyi nti mu Uganda ba MP bagaba ambulance mu kitundu kyabwe. Naye mazima Nakawa yabeera n'omusajja wa NRM okumala terms meka nga ne ambulance tegirina. In the last 5 years balina bbiri. So kyengezako gamba kiri nti your leaders must be able to offer themselves, do their advocacy, even the positions they hold. But unfortunately, before the 5 years,
so now I don't think until Ogenda in those companies is the only way to go. Like, can't they start up something small, like for themselves as the youth?
Yes, we want to also say that they can start up something small, and young people have started something small. But we also want to say, is the environment favorable? Many young people do not have enough social capital to start. They don't have financial capital, they don't have social capital. In a country like Uganda, ani akumanyi ekola nnyo. We must acknowledge this.
Yes, true.
And so social capital works under that. And so if you have leaders that are able to provide that capital, that ye amanyi nti waba agenze n'atulamina ngamba nti in Nakawa we have these young people, this development group, and we'd want them to be mentored and supported. They've offered a social capital. A financial capital could be the money bit. And so people have small starting businesses, but we also live in a country where the taxation is horrible for any starting venture. And so, but we all know all this runs back to KCC. And so it calls to why I want to go there. I've been working with, in my NGO work, I have been privileged to work with women street vendors in areas of Nakawa and Kawempe and Wandegea under a project for the last 3 years. And so one of the things I learned is the issues of street vendors in Kampala. There is a lot of harassment for women. Yes. Maybe I could call out some of the issues. And so it has helped me bring a journey that has brought out something through one of the organizations I work with, but I do not want to disclose it now. And so one of the things I realized is issues of sexual harassment among women street vendors, for women street vendors in Kampala, intimidations and bribery by KCCA officials, KCCA as in enforcement officers. And so you find that in a country like Uganda, where a street vendor is seen as a thief, naenga mazima abasinga mu Uganda tweyiya.
So those people don't even come out to say anything.
And so you find omuntu eyeyiya mazima tabye engeri gye bamukwatamu. Ate mateeka ga Uganda teina weekugamba nti sebo oli kweyiya naye tax eno woba wadde ina ID nti eraga nti nze ndi street vendor nsasula 10,000 per month. Tebaddeyo mu Uganda. Era woba ogenze mu kibuga wansi ojalaba omuntu waliwo gwa agenda solooza sente ku buli omuntu ayimiridde ku luguudo olw'eggulo ng'atunda. Naye ng'oweebuuza sente zo zigenda wa?
And even these people bagenda ne basolooza sente, omuntu omu nasolooza at 6, then another one comes back at 6:30, another one comes back at 7. So bano babeera bawaayo sente every time. And when these KCCA enforcement officers come, but batwala everything. So omuntu ono abataganyuddwamu.
So kati awo ekituufu kinti osanga nga omuntu talina kyafunye. Ate mateeka kati osasudde abasatu. Enforcement neyingirawo owonerawa. Tolina wotandikira. Kati abakyala bo abakola ku luguudo e Nakawa tugambe during COVID twawulidde, because we don't think of our people working on the streets. Omukyala yagudde ku mwala akooye. Museveni agambye mutambule. Omukyala akooye atambudde agenda wa Nakawa. Agwa ku mwala n'abula. You get. And so for me, I come to speak to this whole history. I come to speak to the challenges we experience as street vendors. I want to own it. That's why I say as street vendors, so that I own them as well. And so I want to say it comes back to as Kampala, we are working on really very old laws. If a whole parliament can still be discussing issues of sexual and offences bill really at this point in time, then they are not seeing that we need to really be safe. And so I would call out and say, wale biganye. Sigenda gamba nti all is bad, but I would want to say nti there are loopholes that I know I can fill, that from my history of work. Nsobola bikwata muko nentereza nange mu ngeri yange.
Okay, looking, we are still in Nakawa. Tomanyi Museveni yatuletera waliko any project ereta abantu nga you only present your national ID nogenda noyiga nofuna skilling Uganda nofuna skill oba okutunga oba okusiba enviiri, and then after talking of capital they give you 1M I hear, and then the machine bobo oliwa salon they give you dryer ne 1M I think nobuviiri bobo oli ogenda tunga ngoye ne bakuwa ekyalaani that 1M I think your 1M is for rent or something, or to buy material. Why haven't, and this thing is in Nakawa and people have not really been so active to join. Could we imagine imagine these people never registered for national IDs, or they are just reluctant about getting a skill and starting their own stuff or business.
So I want to say the project is a good thing, the government project of skilling the young people, especially in skilling a girl child on the tailoring. But not everyone is a tailor.
True, but there are things that
and also not everyone is a cook. Tuino sulira passion ku bantu. That is my first point. But I also want to acknowledge that it's a good thing. But I would also want to say that even the whole process, the way it is informed out, people are, you see, we have a problem at structural level.
Oh, yes.
In every part of Uganda. The chairman w'ekitundu wakichekedde owaye weba wa NRM aja making sure
bw'oba toli wa NRM
tewali engeri gy'oyitamu. Kiringa emyoga, waliwo abatidde nti emyoga eze mu kaseera k'akalulu. Wawuliddeko ku ky'emyoga?
Yes.
Emyoga bagamba nti eze mu kaseera k'akalulu. Lwaki? Baagala wamba ebifo. And if you are also to see, I don't want to downplay the program, but I want to say most of government's program have not been openly distributed and organized that the normal, simple, humblest Ugandan is able to access it. So when I imagine a girl child or a woman, because to go for this you have to be 18 and some age.
Yes.
And you look at the first registration and process. Then you look at, you're looking for a basic 2K. Ogula mukene na kaunga quota ka lunch tojirina. Obaloge ndo kuyigotunga. You have maybe a child, you have maybe a husband who doesn't understand this, and so for me that again speaks to my feminist calling. And so the husband may not relate with this, nje mchala hanga tulewaka. And so usually when these such programs come out, there needs to be a counter program. Tomwame ategere lwaki omukyala alina ogenda yiga okola ki enviiri. Have you had government programs that really are also centered at enhancing? While you enhance the woman, are you also encouraging the man? And so you find that it creates that strife. And so I would want to hear government programs that work for both. But still it goes back to the same thing. Are these government programs really being effective? Or byakuyitawo bya kiseera?
No, we would actually want to imagine that when someone gets a skill, you are going out there to build your own self, to develop yourself. There would be no reason why someone would get that Kawan M and go home and eat it and then put your chalan in munyumba tenosika after getting a skill. If maybe people go there, they are only looking at the 1M and are not getting the skill, then we could imagine it after the 6 months. I know it is 6 months. So they will get the K1M and 8. But still looking at Nakawa, it is called Mawanga Magati. It has a lot of
United Nation of Uganda.
It has a lot of people. And how prepared are you to handle this diverse community?
And for me, I think that is the beauty I love about Nakawa. It is the United Nation of Uganda. And so for me, it has helped me in a sense. I am from the north.
Yeah.
I am from Lira. So around the waves you hear, weba toli Muganda, waliwe before mu Kampala tewesimbyawo togezangako. Naye ate Nakawa, ekiringi kyakyo, we are peaceful loving people. We coexist. Nti osanga omwana ava eggulu, ava eri yumbe, naye afuluta Oluganda n'ogamba onavaawa. And so the unity just needs to be enhanced. And so if you're to hear my campaign slogan for unity, social cohesion and justice. So that like many parts of Uganda, the whole complaint is, but I want to bring, that's the last part, and justice in distribution of resources. I want to bring justice in services. And we also know now ebijja byataka banange abantu b'ekitundu batya abakansala baabwe tibatuwamba nnyo ttaka. Abantu batunda nnyo ttaka era woba olabye oli mukulembeze banange nze I'm sending this message to all people standing. Temutunda takaza batuze. That is the fight in Kampala. Buli omuntu ayagala land. And everywhere in Uganda. And so people want to have a just leader. Nti ajja mubeerawo. Nti ayimanyi nti bwe bamukwatidde ensonga ajja tuulaawo. And then unity, like you said. Nakawa is United Nation of Uganda. I literally grew up in a barracks where you are Lange, there is Acholi, there is Nyankore, there is Muchiga, there is Musoga, there is everything. There is Mnyarwanda, there is everything. And so you have to get one language that you connect with. The beauty of the barracks is it's Swahili. Now for Nakawa it is Luganda. It is Luzungu nayo. Because waliwo wowe wange nganze nga Luganda tasobola agiterera. So omwana ayogera mu Luzungu oba mu Luganda. And so for me that speaks to why it is one of the areas of Uganda that need to come out and show the power of solidarity. They have lived in peace. But we now need for a very long time actually. Because toja ulira entalonti huyo wanabalani none nedda. You'll hear it's actually people who come out of Nakawa who are disrupting us. And that also comes to the way we're getting industries that you don't tomanyi we bitandikidde. And so I would want to say in one of my campaign strategies is reuniting the people of Nakawa. I want to bring something called a cultural, a yearly cultural gala, something that we can accept our roots for who we are, that brings us back together, but also unites us in our new home here, because it is our home. Some of us have lived here, we know here better than where we will be buried, and so we must be able to accept this place as our own. And so for me, that is how I see the unity. The social cohesion is to fight out issues. In the years before, Nakawa has had a lot of insecurity issues, which I also want to call out our MP for fighting. But also just to say we've had groups like the NATO Boys known for thieving, and this comes back to the whole issue of unemployment, young people being misdirected, and we want to not blame parents, but we want to say it is the situation. We have slums, we don't have proper settlement, we don't have guidance. And so social cohesion brings in issues for me like skills, career guidance, counseling for young people, doing community centers or community initiatives that help and support young people. And so in this sense, it brings a cohesion, a unity of the groupings. And so people are able to relate with each other. For me, I believe for anyone to work together, they must be able to understand each other. And
So they can work together.
Yes. Or try to work together.
Okay.
Yes.
You know, we have market vendors and then KCCA. There are wrangles there with taxes and other issues. How are you going to solve all these issues?
I want to first call out proper representation. Nze tojja kunsanga nga bali abayisamu nti togikwatako bo ne bagamba bagikwateko. No. I come from the understanding of the issues of women street vendors and street vendors in Kampala and of the marginalized group. And so I wouldn't want to say nze agenda yisawo mateeka. Naye ngenda gamba nti njabeera mu mateeka amatuufu nga ngisomyeko bitegeera. Because sitandikidde wano, my history of work has brought out my understanding of some of these issues. So I wouldn't want to say nze ngenda gilwanira ngenda gikuba ki. Me, I will be on the position that speaks for the people of Nakawa, that speaks rightfully for the people of Nakawa at that, and that understands their issues, because I also know it's about understanding already what has even happened in council. Waliwo yeesimbyewo nga tamanyi ne ordinances zimeka gye bakayisawo mu KCCA. I already waliwo yeesimbyewo. Now I'm thinking, but I already know there are 6 that have passed in these 5 years. Naye waliwo tamanyi neemu. Kyengezaako gamba kiri nti as a leader, you must be able to understand some of these things. You must be able to speak to this and know, okay, what works for my people? What are their issues? And so I want to just say, I am not going to pass them since Abisawo. Nainze mbera muludda ekole kituufu. Nga representation, that's what they say, proper representation.
Wow, that's good. And as a woman and as a feminist, you know, we have our children who have been in lockdown for the past of us 8 months and above, and they're still in lockdown. In Nakawa, we see some of the young youths are now pregnant, and some of them have been even chased away from home. How are you going to help those young people?
3 weeks ago, in one of my campaign journeys, I was called in a place called Katogo, a 3-year-old. It's a slum. After a heavy downpour that day, we had just gone, a government, an NGO project had passed by, and they had distributed food because of this COVID situations. And so I had met the grandmother at the distribution center, and we had had a discussion. Little did I know she had left her 3-year-old behind in Katogo. When she came back after that heavy downpour, the child was nowhere. Why? It had rained, he had gone to pour some water into a drainage system, fell in and was not found. The next we found was his body, dead. I am a mother to a 4-year-old. This is a single grandmother taking care of her daughter's son. And so it hit me as, okay, this is literally her child, not muzuku. Amukwiziza abada agenzo nonya mere. So for me, what I would want to say is chiruma.
Yeah, it hurts.
For any leader chiruma, wadde nomuvubuka muno, even your own friend, gomulabye talina kyakola. Chikuluma.
True.
The moment I see the young people of Nakawa, many who have grown disorientated, not knowing a direction, not because they don't want to be directed, but because it stems back from the top leadership. Why? Ngane President Kenyini, omuchala wabaga, omuchala gambye nti omuchala tujukira mu COVID. Tambula wadoli lubuto tumutegeera. That's a statement. And so what about young people? I want to say it's just about our government not minding us as young people. We know, was there any direct initiative towards young people in COVID?
No.
Ndoza nemere wewe bagaba balaba oyina abaana mameka.
H2. Bobo inomu bakuwakamu akasawo kakawunga.
Gwe muvubuka agenda weeyiye nawe yatya mu COVID.
Yetebakuwa.
Nakawa ejjudde abavubuka.
True.
Era kyeva olaba ku luno omusajja yatidde. Abavubuka banyiize. COVID yayitawo mwaba wadde ki? Which direct support was towards young people. And so you find that the way we have been mwesorting, naffe tugenda okwesortinga. Naye ate tugenda okwesortinga mu kituufu. Nze ngenda kwesortinga bavubuka bannange ab'enakawa. Tuli kwesortinga. And so nze manyi kye bayita nti obeera unemployed. Because I have also experienced being a single mother and unemployed in Nakawa. In 2016, immediately after the election, I got pregnant in one of the small ghettos of Giza, where I am currently also staying. You raise a baby and you don't have a job. And that is a story of almost every other young man. But now me, I was a younger woman. And a single one at that. Unemployed with a child. In a ghetto. Ate ababi bangi. Ate tebabba nti lwakuba baagala. Situations. So we want to start to understand our own. Nze sigenda vaayo laja nenti omuvubuka mubbi.
That is why I was coming from, like, there is high crime rate in Nakawa. Is it because it is a suburb? Is it because people are unemployed? Or we do not know what informs the high crime rate in Nakawa? What is the real problem of Nakawa? Why are people so...
Byonna bitandikira waggulu ku president. If you have not directly taken it initiative as knowing that Uganda's population is really young, and there must be a direct initiative towards young people, then how are you going to help young people? There must be an intentional need to support young people, an intentional and effective young way. But when we only come out during times of elections for 2 months, 3 months, then we are not helping the situation. We are actually escalating the situation. And so now in this situation, most young people at this point are employed. Beba tutimba, beba lekana, 15 mutwalo. mukalulu naye lindako January nga 14th ewedde actually fe aba 20th tetukyalina mukoma sente ziri awo naye lindako January 20th ku lutalo eri awo I mean 14th ku lutalo eri awo eya president manya nti abavubuka tuli kati ku mirimu naye mirimu ya contract.
Oh, true.
January wegwayo odayo kweyiya kati omuvubuka asinga okola mu kaseera kano wakalulu abadde atudde butuzi waka era omwana wawulidde nti kansala yeetaaga omuntu oyokutimba wadde ogenda omuwa 2,000 which is also expectation ajjadukayo kubanga abadde anonyawo
their jobs during COVID-19.
Exactly, like myself as well. and so but also the beauty is we get new ones as well, thank God, but not all of us are privileged to that. And so we must also be understanding for young people. Most young people were actually quickly laid off. When someone looks at their skilling ogenda ku mirimu ne bagamba naye ono yaluddeyo wano yasinga okola ano wadde ne tumusala ajja kkiriza gwe nvuuka ojja kwekala so gambe mbanyongezi ssente zange. And so you find that most young people are laid off because they want to think you have the qualifications yet you're young. You can't have a master's at 25 really.
Someone wants to employ you but then they want you to have
a PhD.
A PhD and then 5 years in field.
And wakava ku university otandikira wa?
Tawale.
Nakawa has universities.
Yeah,
it has schools. But are they affordable? No. We must look at the population, we must look at the issues. Everything about leadership rotates around the structures of how the society has been built. And so if we cannot understand that our people are low-income earners, our people babeera mu ghetto, tulina abagagga bajja ne basuula omwana we nasoma mu international eri. Ndi waliwo ebifo ne Nakawa n'osanga nga yenna ghetto n'olaba ka international school kali eyo. Naye abaana bajjamu bava mu bitundu ebirala. Bamuvuga ne motoka ne bamuleta oli naddayo. Amazima kulu no tugambe tukirize. Tugende tukonkone pa muli mu kitundu kyaffe. Akaja Nakawa. Wakiri tuwe scholarships z'abaana. Obera toyambye ekitundu. So it's what I keep on saying, advocacy. Some of these fights we cannot fight by just okulwana. Some of these fights we need to fight as young people speaking out in Nakawa.
Gwe munange ali mu representing abantu, are you doing proper representation oba we representing gwe ne family yo? Omukyala gwe nina mu studios ali too emotional kyo olaba emboze zimu ayogera kakanye nnyo and she will always tell you it is okay to cry. It's okay to cry. It is also another way of showing that you are really not okay and you are shedding off some stress and all. So she's too emotional zimu topics, so mulabira ddala she is touched because one, she is a woman and two, she is a mother. Naye nga ate ndowooza tugendako mu ka health break katono nnyo tugenda kubanga ate tukomawo gwe munaffe ali ku page ya Farida Alternative Uganda on Facebook bw'oba olina ekibuuzo kyo tugamba kiteekemu tugenda kubanga tukiddamu in our last 10 minutes omugenyi waffe agenda kubanga abaddamu questions zammwe ze munaaba mubuuziza ate gwe atanatweyungako genda ku Facebook in your search engine in your own account teekamu the Alternative Uganda ogenda kubanga ate otufuna bulungi nnyo like the page and follow us ogenda kubanga ate bw'omala okutulaikinga nyiga that notification button babeere nga bakuleetera notification every when we go live olunaku lubeera lwa Monday mpaka Friday essaawa ebeeremu ey'okumakya paka ssaawa 3 leero kooti yaffe gye tutambuliddeko olwaleero egamba nti if people doubt how far you can go very far that you can't hear them, but proving it they will also be surprised. It is the story of Rebecca Achom Adile. Wetulina mysterious. That court has informed our discussion because we have a young girl who has fought from the barracks and she is where she is advocating for rights of women and she is vying or looking for a leadership position at the council of KCCA. So tulabira ddala nti gwe omuwala ali ewaka walifunye ekyokuyiga okuva ku mugenyi waffe olwaleero teweekiriranya tewenyoma because you are a woman, because you gave birth at a very young age, you still have okyayina omukisa munene nnyo okuba nti ate opasuwinga dreams nga bw'ozaagala okubeera. So ffe tugamba munange teweemalamu maanyi okyayina omukisa. It all starts with you. Kitandikira ku gwe wekkiririzeemu then abantu abalala bagenda ku acceptinga nabo bakubelievingiremu. Farida, Bikobere, the Mighty Drive. We are going for a short break to come out.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
You have got to get up pretty early to go do something. We are the Alternative Dig Talk. With our mobile studios, we are redefining TV presentation just as technology is setting the pace. We are blending our approach with fresh, perspectively designed breakfast show, The Mighty Drive, informative and entertainment show, exclusive and live interviews.
We President Museveni wadde juzi namulaba apima akawunga kilo 2 tasobola kalya nini bwaba alya kilo 5 oyannema okuliisa eggwanga ne bwe limundekera.
Njagala kwebaza the Alternative Dig Talk etuwadde kano ka Mighty Drive era n'abatuwuliriza bonna abali ku mikutu njagala basaba mugendo maaso n'okuwuliriza.
All given to you just a click away on your phone, tablet, laptop, and smart TVs. As we are streaming live on our social media platforms, on the road and on the go. We are the Alternative Dig Talk.
The world is at a critical moment of providing innovative alternatives as a means to create change.
As such, we have created a not-for-profit alternative mobile digital platform as a way to promote space for freedom of speech and expression to the unheard voices.
We know you believe in the cause and you can further it more by contributing to its sustainability in forms of internet data, fuel, and any other support you deem relevant.
Please support us with your contribution to Equity Bank account number 103-5201-607252 under the name Alternative Digital, or our mobile money numbers 0702 900076 or 0783 047785. Alternative Digital, real issues, real talk.
Where there is a lot of violence, for example, police brutality. A lot of you are being beaten up, the voters and the people from the opposing side. So election is just that period where we get free money.
An election is a process through which people choose to vote a person or a group of people to hold an office of leadership.
Did you know that you have the power to determine on who leads you?
Did you know that your vote has the power to change your society and the country at large?
Dear citizens, please vote wisely. Don't vote money, but vote issues.
Dear parents, I can't make any decision.
Your choice determines my future.
Fellow students, exercise your right. Go and vote.
Abafumbira mwese muzaze tugende tutera karuru.
Abanyayuganda mwena mugende mutera karuru.
Bashange face face yihule kuche hodole.
Abantu nyana mujje tugende tukome.
Genda oronde.
Your vote.
My vote.
Our vote is our present and our future.
The The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Tukulikeeyo muka healthy break omanye tubeera n'omugenyi waffe ne tumuvuga saawa namba tuba tulina omuwaamu ka break asse ndowooza anywe ne ku lwendo lw'amazzi ate tudde ne saawa yaffe ebeera esembayo eya programu yaffe The Mighty Drive naye ng'ate njagala gwe okujjukiza omulabi yaffe atulaba naawe ayinza okuba nga togenda sobola tulaba programu yaffe yonna kuggwawo nti tubeerayo ku YouTube amanya ge gamu The Alternative Uganda. Every program gye tukola tugiteekayo ku YouTube, so tukubiriza munnange sobola ogenda ate n'olaba programs zaffe ku YouTube. Erinnya liri The Alternative Uganda, the same name nga bwe liri ku Facebook. Gwe ali ku Facebook nga tonatufuna genda mu search engine in your own account teekamu The Alternative Uganda, ogenda kubanga ate otufuna bulungi nnyo. After you like the page and follow us, ogenda kubanga ofuna programs zaffe bulungi nnyo buli lunaku. Ebeerayo Mighty Drive saawa emu mpaka saawa 3 ate ku Sunday tuba n'eriiso ly'omukulu n'owekitiibwa eyaliko Katikkiro wa Buganda Dan Mulika nga atujjukizaamu ng'oba atuwa history ya Uganda wawe twasobya kiki kye tusuubi ekijja mu maaso oba kye tulinaawo okusuubira. Owekitiibwa omukulu oyo bagamba nti eriiso ly'omukulu awaddugala we walaba, so owekitiibwa Dan Mulika agenda kubanga ate atuwa insights eza political history ya Uganda, kiki kye twasobyamu wawe twakolesa wawe tulina okutereeza okuva eri ku 1962 mpaka ate wano wetuli every Sunday esaawa zibeera 11 ez'olweggulo mpaka saawa emu. Tubakubiza ba mikwano mbeereeko ate tujjemu ekyokuyiga. We still have Rebecca Achom Adile mu studios ng'ate twogerako naye atubuulira olugendo nga lubadde okuva eri ng'akula mpaka kati waali ng'atunuulira ekifo Nakawa mulafe atulaba obadde musajja ndowooza otunudde n'ogamba kirabika ne manyinaze asobola kikola. Well, she is here, she's not inspiring a young girl or a woman, it is a two-way traffic. Omusajja naawe otudde eyo weekubiriza osobola okugamba nedda olaba omukazi yakikoze, olaba omwana omuto omuwala yakikoze, I can also do it. So ffe tubagamba bugambe nti every guest gwe tuleta mu studios zaffe abeera n'ensonga lwaki azze. Tuba twagala muwulire stories zaabwe nammwe mujjemu ekyokuyiga ate oba gwe ali eyewaka ng'oweddemu essuubi ofune hope. Ndowooza tubadde tukyali ku nsonga z'Nakawa nga tetunnagenda ku feminism kuba bannaye bingi bye twagala okwogerako olwaleero because she cuts all through those sectors. Ali mu feminism, ali mu activism, ali mu politics, ali everywhere. So buli wamu tugenda kubanga ate tukoonawo mpola mpola abeere nti ate yakola n'abaana sign language mba mulaba amawulire wabeerawo awo wansi akabokisa abantu ababa bainterpreting amawulire munnange ekyo kye yakugukamu bakuyita kugukamu. When nasemba okumanya yali yakola law I do not know how far but she is over, she was a law student, so I do not know bakalulu kamu yuziza ebyokusoma n'abivaako naye ng'ate amateeka go nago agasoma era ndowooza mumuwulire ajja agakubamu ebituli agataputa bulungi agakubamu ebituli agamba nedda amateeka ge tutambulirako makadde nnyo twayikyusizaamu wano. Ndowooza ekyo kiraga nti omuntu ali informed ate era byayogerako aba bitegeera. Tuzze ku Nakawa newankubadde nti it is near town, erimu emyala mingi, in fact erimu emyala mingi, erimu slums ningi n'obukyafu bungi. We do not actually want to imagine it okubeera mu slums means buchafu. Can't people be in slums and they're clean?
People can live anywhere and be clean. Naye kati ekizibu kiva still mu bukulembeze kubanga kati nga mu myaka eno osobola beera mu slum n'obeera ng'oli clean. Ate kituufu mu slums zaffe waliwo abali clean nnyo ate saagala bakwasa nti omuntu amukyafu nti lwakuba tayagala kubeera clean. Sometimes it's about situations. Nti omuntu talina mmere alowooza okuyonja ennyumba ng'anoonya ekyokulya. So you mean yayingidde lindako kangamukaawo nti ayingira ennyumba nga mazima si ye nannyini nnyumba agisanga nga waali ate anoonya waateekako omutwe naye awummule. So saagala kwasa abantu nti bakyafu ate saagala gamba nti Nakawa yonna nkyafu. Tusobola gamba nti nga ne Makinde oba ogenze waliwo olaba ne mu kyalo si slums naye osanga olinga waliwo ekibulamu tugambe bugambi nti ebibulamu abatono. But also it comes back to leadership. Already ku myaka eno tulina amateeka ze bayiseewo egenda kwasaganya nnyo abantu bubi nnyo. Tumanyi kati Ngabirira nalitambula, Dr. Ngabirira nalitambula bagamba nti oba oli mukyafu nnyo bajja kusiba oba si kyofayini meka miliyoni 2. Osobola miliyoni 2 kati ne bakwata bubo bagenze nga requirements tozirina ate gwe at least okwata microphone tebezo omukyala kutunda nyaanya. So kyetugezako ogamba nti government byegezako okola si kirungi. Because already tumanyi nti mu kaseera kano twakayita mu COVID n'atewulira bu batusuddeko kabomu kapya. Weba tomanyi okulongosewo oba toyina bino waliwo ebikwakalizo gye baagala bakusibe oba oteekeyo miliyoni 2 nti nyumba yo enobeera waki neki ababiyita atya bino ebya they call them finishing. There is a finishing, the one they put before you paint.
Oh
yes. So we wate jirina oli munsobi how you, but even in our housing structures in the city government teyambye nnyo. And we also, this comes through KCCA. We must say it's also because of I want to acknowledge maybe this was a history. You see, every time you inherit something that is bad ogezako gitereza naye bizibu bibeera nyingi, so it becomes a process of kutereza. I want to say during this whole journey of council, I want to say during Lord Mayor's journey, there has been new changes we have seen in the Council of Kampala, but there has also been issues. That's why you have seen in Kampala edda wawulira ttaka bagitunda nnyo engeri waliwo ennyumba bagizimba wano nga badde terina obeerayo ngeri ku road reserve ogamba kiki. It's about our previous leadership. And so I would want to say that we have inherited problems in Kampala. Inherited tugi from NRM kubanga NRM yebadde efuga ebiseera ebisinga mu Kampala. Kati ne bafuga abantu ne bafuga bo ne bafuna we bagisikamuko nti omuntu asala national cake n'agitwala naye nga tebagirozeeza nti wadde atwalayo housing program bagikola atya. Omuntu akulondera asula bulungi, structure y'ekitundu kyammwe eri bulungi, nti omuntu mpangise. Okimanyi nti abapangise ba Uganda tulina okolamu ka tenants association bulungi kubanga baba batuseera owulira ekitundu nti why is it that there are some places nti olaba ennyumba n'ogamba one room at 400,000 and yet you'll find a fully self-contained house at the same price, with everything. And so it's all
about location.
No, it's not just location. Waliwo n'obuyayi nyingi nti tetulina organized planning n'amateeka mu Uganda, so osanga nti waliwo engeri gye tunyigizaamu. So mu byonna it's just an issue of leadership. Byonna ebitukwatiramu n'abe Nakawa era nsuubira nti weba ngezeemu awo waliwo ensonga gye tusobola ntereza mpola mpola. Sisobola bimala byonna naye it's about okulongesa yonna mpola mpola mpozi mutamu y'okubiri ne tutwalayo bulungi.
Someone would assume nti ebizibu ekireetera you to inherit problem is because when new leaders come in as you want to mwagala okukulembeza ekyammwe kyemuzze nakyo ate ne wandibaddewo nti oli gwodidde mu bigere nga yalina projects yes byonna mubifailinga and then ne mukulembeza ekyammwe.
Your perception be nga feminist sisobola kola ekyo. I need to acknowledge and appreciate. And also, if you have seen in my conversations today, I've acknowledged some very pro leaders. And so I wouldn't want to say bakola bubi. Well, every human being, to err is human.
Yes,
and to forgive is divine. That's why sigenda mu nsonga ezontalo za violent nyo. But what I would want to say is, as leaders, we need to also call out when people do issues and also speak out when something is right. And so I've called out a lot of wrong things, but also spoken on right things. And so I would want to say that we need to just be cautious, and also when you get into a position, ti wobo yingide ebyobufuzi n'ofuna position eyo otulako n'olaba gwoze mu kigere abada akola biki kati gw'otandikirawa oyongeramuko ki ebiseera ebisinga bakulembeze nti otya nti nze kale kankole ne kange akapya ne kati oli bw'abadde akola oyongeddemuko ki nti kale kaseera ke kagweddeyo naye gwe oyingidde mu byobufuzi kati oyingidde mu position gy'abadde ayina kyapa ki gy'oyongerako kyevanze abaganda banyuwira when Katubi Tombs was burnt buli omuntu yateekako etoffaali it's like building Nakawa buli muntu alina oteekako toffaali and that's the problem our leaders don't have omuntu alowooza ye asobola zimba Nakawa yonna nedda oteekayo toffaali osobola ateeka emu oba oteeka kumi oba ozimba wall fence yonna emu oba n'oteekako ka block nti bamanyi nti ono yalwanira ettaka wano era bw'oba olina ekizibu ky'ttaka wadde takyali mu byobufuzi jangu omutuukireko oli yalwanira abaana nti waliwo Paul gye yateekamu Nakawa nti bamukkiriza mu kyekyo so that is what we need to do oteekayo katofaaliko.
Our viewers would really want to know, even maybe your voters that are watching us, what plans do you have for the women living in the slums of Nakawa?
My plans for the women of Nakawa are more of economic empowerment and living peaceful lives. We want to acknowledge, I want to come from a feminist understanding at the moment, that women are very underprivileged in this country called Uganda. And so you find that many times, even while you struggle, your struggles are not understood. I want a woman in Nakawa to sleep peacefully at night, knowing nti Councillor we amukolerako ate naye amuwadde amaanyi sagala abeere oli atula mu ntebe ng'omuntu asobola okuntuukiriza. And so I want her to sleep knowing nti weba waliwo ekizibu nti omwana alina ekizibu ky'okusoma. There is a program Councillor has offered for supporting children in school that when it means things to do with morality, uprightness of your children, they are able to get into a community center, an environment where even while you go and hustle, because now we live in a world of hustling. Omwana wo waliwo wagenze n'atuula balimuyigiriza balimuteekamu empisa z'ekitundu engeri gy'obeeramu n'abantu nomuteekamu kiri ekya career nti amaanyi agalina because kyetulina ng'abantu ebiseera ebisinga batuyuzayuza nnyo era bw'oba olabye omwana ng'akula maama abeera n'obusungu nyingi kubanga naye atoba ne taata atoba era bw'oba omanyi amaka asinga taata tabeerayo mama abeerayo mu bintu byonna kati twagala teekako environment nti amanyi ategere kikyasobola ayitawo nti n'abeera bulungi. But I also want to speak to most especially the issue of unity, cohesion and justice. Justice for the young people in education, in health. Tuyina obeera n'eddwaliro ekola ate ekirungi nawulidde nti waliwo ababaddeyo mu kanso ate mbulidde nti ba FDC ate tumanyi nti kituufu ba FDC bayisiza already waliwo eddwaliro eyitawo eyama maternity y'abamaama baligikolako already kati byayisawo dda. So I know already waliwo tafaali omuntu yataddemu awo naye kati ku kyaddwaliro kirala kyenyongeramuko nti mpeke zijja beerayo bulungi nze ng'eri nja making sure nti nkolingawo nti abasawo abakola ku bantu weebali ate bakola bulungi nga kansala ogendawo naawe newefuula nti oli mulwadde lwaki ngendako agakaani
nga area community
kansala lwaki ngendako India tumanyi kati health minister ali India anoonya obujanjabi naye nga ye gwatula mu by'eddwaliro mu Uganda. So kyengezako ogamba ki nti it's just okwebeerawo ku bantu bo. You see okubeera kansala olina obeera n'abantu bo mu bulungi ne mu bubi ne mu ssanyu nakyo kati nze sisobola abeera mu ssanyu nga
obulungi bwe lyessanyu
osobola abeera mu bulungi nga mugenze ku mukolo obanga waliwo omwana bagenda omutikka naye ate ku ssanyu you be there in the future. I want to see joy as something that comes at the end of my term in office. That when I walk out of this office njivaamu n'essanyu saagala beera kansala atuula abantu ne bakoowa bukoowa okulonda mu kalulu nti musajja aveeyo agende omukyala aveeyo agende nedda.
How many times are you looking at as a councillor?
I am looking for now. We need to look at the small objective of a one term in office. You never know, I would be coming maybe for MP of Nakawa the next election.
Okay.
There are still issues I can come back for a second, but I think we would Look at one term for now.
We have women who have been in power for a very long period of time. And they don't want to give space to the young ones.
And they are the ringleaders of affirmative action.
Exactly. You brought the word affirmative action. So our problem as a country is we have overplayed the affirmative action card the wrong way. I am now looking at an affirmative action seat for women. I say you speak truth to power.
Yes.
But feminists we say no, it's not bad. So let me tell you this. Rebecca Kadaga, who is also my namesake, ave mu race. Ekituufu kito omukyala affirmative action tekyamukolako. Wakiri kale ajje ku direct kati bambi.
Ekituufu.
Ajje ku direct alage nti kati bamuwadde amaanyi. But why would you sit in a position for so long and yet it's a position to pull out other women? And so nze nyumira nnyo Salama Musumba kyamukolera. Bamusokole aveeyo. Because ekituufu is some of these positions are not put for us to ring fence. Yes. So most people who take long in some positions, it's not because they are the best. It's because a ring fencing nagamba nze kati we banyise wano nentuuka eri.
Talking about ring fencing, someone would really assume the affirmative action ring fencing abakazi nti boba amanyi nti nyina kujja ku kifo kya woman MP, woman councillor bati okujja ku direct positions n'abalina ability ne baba sibireri betya muntu nagamba if affirmative action wasn't there, these people would fly because they would tap into opportunities that are all over.
So the ring fencing bit is right, but I would also want to say it also comes back to our people. We have not really, if you also see what EC has done, Electoral Commission hasn't really done civic education enough for our laws of Tegeranti direct see our subject.
Oh yes.
No muchala yesimbyo kwa affirmative. Ati ogenda ku direct kubanga loza nti bajagamba omusajja afuga anonya kaluna abasajja. Kyevula bane Museveni watudde. Ati oleka watudde. Naye ate nekirala yagala nnyo amaanyi. Naye nga kituufu. If we had laws that protected presidential former presidents, abada bayatulekerere. Amri atoba Bobi Wine ayingiremu. Atwalemu ko atufudde. Naye omuntu until we don't have safe environments for presidents before, after their terms in office. So if I know muntu weba akutte ekintu ajinyweza nga ati anti wano nenjideka njabeera atya. So as a country we have a lot that is lacking. Era nembakyala abo olaba omuntu ava mu kya affirmative nagezako the next time watch tapu lumu toddamu awo.
In Parliament we only have 22 women abali ku direct seats. Then abasinga bajira ku woman.
Ne leader ya opposition bonna bajja ku woman MP. Right, because it's a mindset that brings back to the feminist thing. It's like the feminism. People keep on thinking feminism is a bad thing, feminism is a wrong thing. It's also the mindset of the direct.
Some of them even call it Western culture.
It's the same thing with the direct position. Kifo ky'abasajja. Era jasanga kansala yesimbyo ku direct omukyala. Nze naze mu kifo ky'abasajja nogamba. Nyaboze ku direct.
Ku direct si ky'abasajja.
Nogamba waaye. Naye nga mu kituufu ayagala balonzi bategere si nti tayagala gamba nti ndi ku direct. But just lwakuba omulonzi asooka nategere ekyo.
Olaba omukyala yesimbyewo n'omusajja. Ne bamuwaayo ka sympathy.
Ne bagamba kati ne baddayo mu mukono. Olulugo otukomawo n'ogamba kati ekifo ky'abasajja kiri kya direct era oba otuuka okulonda ojala bawandisa lwali waggulu direct naye nga tebawandisa ekifo ky'abasajja.
What do you think is the problem ekiremesa abakyala okutakinga ezo direct seats?
It's like I said, it's the perception of people about some of these positions. It's also the fear. We have not been empowered enough or feel secure enough to take over some of these positions. So we become more comfortable with the affirmative seat.
That going for the neglect seat. Swagala okutunuulira take off your feminism bit. Nga tukyali kujja ne ya politics. when you talk about being a feminist and you are among men, everyone will be like, you are a feminist? For us, we fear feminists. For us, they don't get married. They do not respect men. You know, feminism is something that is overrated among women. Is it? Money haters. Could it be the reason why you are not married? Because you are a feminist, because that is what men think. Because
you will all see me being married next year officially, please.
Oh.
But for now, what I would want to say is, and then people want to think feminist, what all this statement, have a child. I am a happy person. Why would I be sad for Christ's sake? It's like okugamba anan. Titaino yagala bana kubanga tazala. Chisoboka?
No.
Ndilwa kuba tafumbira. So anan is feminist. Tafumbirwa. Tazala kubanga ye bambi. Aloza katonda. Is he a feminist? No. You can't. Maybe there are others who are. Yes, there should be feminist nuns as well. But what I would want to say is feminism is like what I would say it's an ideal belief in how the world should be. Nti nawe nga Farida. Nti woba otuddeyo tosubira olaba omukyala nga tasobola okwesobolawo nti tasobola oyogera. Nti bamutulugunya. Nti woba ozadde omwana wo oyagala nti woba bba wagenda sasula fees asasule omulenzi 50,000 naye amusasulire 50. Nti omuwala tebamugamba nti tulako woka muganda waddeyo ko musomera some wenfunira sente nja kutwalayo. Sinti it's the belief in the equality of all.
Oh yes.
But because tuli mu bulamu eri nti mukyala gondera nnyo omusajja ekituufu mwenna mwegondere mwewe ekitiibwa mwenna nti buli omuntu there is no greater human than the other.
Oh yes.
Mwenna muli bantu fenna batuzika mu coffin. Oba oli musiraamu fenna tufa tuddayo mu ttaka.
Abambagamba women have to be in kitchens. That's their office.
But was the kitchen pre-installed in your head?
No.
Wava mu luto lwa mama wo ng'omanyi ofumba?
No.
Why are the best chefs men in the world? It's as obvious as learning. We come to this world and learn the way the world has taught us to learn some of these things.
Oh, yes.
Nti ovaayo ku lubuto lwa mama wo ekisooka kye basooka okusimbayo nga ky'okuzanya doolo. Muganda wo bajjamuwa motoka. Owaayi bamuwadde ekifuba. Olidde motoka ozannyamu n'ekifuba. Omuwala ogenda
bakuweka ddole osiba enviiri.
Engoye gisiba enviiri giteekeko lipstick. Era nange nga abasinga bamanyi feminist tukola makeup. Amba waayi. Nti tweyita abasajja n'ogamba waayi. Mukakkane omuntu has to be the way they are. Waliwo omukyalo oli nga tali ne feminist. Naye nga eddoboozi bwe waayogedde owulira
ate agamba bakambwe ennyo eddoboozi
naye nga bamukuza like that. Eddoboozi ye kyekyo tali feminist mukyala wawaka awo bawe ekitiibwa naye ate omusajja amukuba ate alina eddoboozi nti weba aleekaanya omusajja asobola dduka naye amukolera ki. So literally feminism is just appreciating each other and understanding and accepting ourselves as who we are and not violating the others' right. So you find the world has been notioned to think omusajja w'amaanyi nnyo omukyala wansi kinga mu byobufuzi n'ogendako mu meeting omukyala ne bamugamba gaba chai
naye omusajja tagaba chai.
Akaba chai na meeting eyitawo naye n'avaayo n'ateesamu ekisinga abasajja babadde batula banywa chai gy'agaba. So watch omukyala obudde bwataddeyo yonna ng'agaba chai kyokka naye aze mu meeting fi afumbye chai waba badde atudde awo n'ateesa ng'alowooza mu idea ng'omukyala omusajja naawe n'oteesa mwenna ne mutuulawo ensi tekulakana etambula. So feminists want that world where everyone is there is an equal distribution, there is an equal asset distribution, there is the world you are all at the same level, there is a pa
That's why you said we need feminists who are women in politics.
And that's why I'm so happy we have a Dr. Sila Nyanzi standing. Nti kuluno tubereko n'omukyala ategera bino ensonga. Ye bambi taja abeera nganze because me I'm a liberal. She is a radical. Ajja kubulirawo pa mu lulimi gwategeera nawe gwamanyi nti ajja kusulako ng'ekigambo pa ogitegeerawo. Me awukama nenkunyonyola bulungi n'otegeera n'ogamba neetaaga okuwa mukyala wange ekitiibwa n'abaana n'omuwala wange owaka naye muwa ekitiibwa nti wadde mukozi.
What has caused this kind of perception about feminism? Is it that you people have not done enough okusomesa abantu what feminism is and n'okubalaga nti it is not kind of way of competition like mugulumiza nnyo abakyala benkane n'abaami?
I think it's just the whole thinking that it's switching to Africa and it's an American thing, but also just because of engeri gye twakulamu mu society. Olaba oba olabye society yaffe ebisinga omusajja akeera n'atuula ne mukyalo yakomyewo waka ssaawa 5 ez'ekiro ng'anyweddemu. Omukyalo okeera n'ofumba mmere n'okola biki n'oliki kirungi obikola. Naye ate kirungi bwaba mwenna mukedde mwasize mutya ngenzi okola nange ngenzi okola kino nga nawe owa mukyala we ekitiibwa kyawakani musajja ki, but there has already been an aligned role. Omukyala baawo ono buli kyakugamba kyolina okukola. Naye musajja wadde takoze kino tolina omulekalira tolina omubulirira tewali kyolina omunenya wadde yadde. And so you don't bring the space to converse. So the world has been brought in that platform until there is not that space to converse and to learn something new. Nti ogenda mu church, ogenda mu ssomero. Mu church bagamba nti tebagala laba muwala wa church asiba nnyo n'abalenzi. Kayina akaze. Naye ate maama agenda afumbirwa omukazi munne ate oba ofumbidde mukazi munne naye kizibu.
Yes.
So agenda relating atya n'abasajja batasobola beera nabo. Ne banyumya ng'ab'emikwano. So already church einamu kyekukoma nti tokola kino. Ogenda mu ssomero nnyabo oyambala ebiwanvu toyambala ebimpi.
Even the society yonga yo eragira ddala nti omwana omuwala olina okubeera down, olina kubeera wansi, omulenzi yakola ki yalina okubeera on top.
Nti muganda wo wadde mutoowo
yadde mutoowo olina omuwa ekitiibwa
mpayo mmere naawe n'ogabirawo mangu anti ye musajja.
There are certain house chores abalezi ze batakola like cooking. Bagamba mbu cooking is only for girls, but is it bad if a man cooks?
No, it's not. And so the world needs to change all that. It's learning. We need to just learn as a society to relearn the things we do. To wa muganda w'ekitiibwa ng'omuwala ne muganda
akuwa ekitiibwa leke kwegulumiza olw'okuba bo basajja.
Gondera muganda wo ne muganda wo akugondere. Mama wo muwe ekitiibwa ne taata awe mama ekitiibwa. Nti ku mirimu woba oyingidde emirimu mundagamba bosi yange ki mukazi oyo ngeno musobola. Abakazi banafu tonnamuuliza oba qualification agirina. Naye nga mu kituufu kiri nti it's just mentality of society. So in feminism we say there are pillars of patriarchy. Patriarchy is what feminism seeks to destroy. It is not we don't seek to destroy the man. Tetugenda kola boom 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 tutya abasajja bonna nedda. Kye twagala kola is to fight male dominance nti abasajja bebafuga
leading everything.
Fenna tufuge ate tetugamba nti abakazi bebafuga nedda fenna tulina ofuga. Kyeva olaba amateeka gagamba nti tufune direct nga buli omuntu alwanako kati. Naye if we reach a position in Uganda nga n'abakazi besimbyewo nga ogenda mu parliament nosanga ate nga abakazi be bajudde osinga abasajja ogamba waliwo ekibulamu. We need to have a society where anti waliwo ebifo by'abakazi. And so that creates an equal level of discussion, of understanding, and that everyone's view is brought out. But we don't have that because of the pillars of patriarchy, which includes they have things like education. Our education system has been biased, and so we need to relearn some of these things. We have school, we have church, we have culture, we have age. Not really age, but more of culture, education, culture, and also the law. There is a way the law has not been kati nga mu Uganda owaayi abapamenters ne bagamba nti tuyiseko ka sexual offences bill mwagala goba mwagala kyagalanya maka g'abantu n'ogamba owaayi twagalako okuuma maka naye nga mu kituufu kiri nti omusajja agamba nti kati divorce and marriage act omuntu n'agamba
mwagala waganyaza abakazi
ate bagala tutta batwale ebintu byaffe kubanga there is that clause where they're saying like when you're divorcing there has to be an equal distribution or something and so that's why you find some things like Americans have things like prenuptial agreements and stuff nti waba ogenda fumbirwa omuntu weba Uganda yawula there has to be like people who do prenuptials in Uganda they're not even there and so you find that in some places omukazi weba afumbirwa omusajja kati nga gwe mukyala watu nogenda n'ofumbirwa omusajja obadde okola emirimu gyo tolina saving emyaka gyo 10 oba 20 gy'otadde ku musajja ng'otuula waka okuziza abaana naye emirimu obeera otudde butuzi waka oba ofumba mmere biki
ofumba emmere n'obayonja n'ozaala n'olabirira abaana
bakitwala nti tolina nnyo kyamaanyi kyokola
kyokka okola nnyo omusinga ye n'akomawo ye atudde mu office ne taayi akoziza titatitata n'akomawo n'atuula kati gwe after 20 years n'afuna omulala which is also okay because his choices may change
yes
n'avaayo n'agamba nze kati njagala yawukana naawe ogambye nti kati nze ntandikirwa bambi tuyawule muko nange nfuna kyempa wakoledde sente kimnyabo obadde otuula wakanyize abadde akola but literally all of her young life has been working for you has been working for your family nawe obadde okolera family eyo naye obadde onkola mu ngeri ndala so literally what I'm trying to say is feminism just wants us to understand and appreciate each other as long as we first put akakangamo nti nkusimye ekyokola nange nsimye ekyenkola ndaba ng'omuntu nange nja kulaba ng'omuntu.
Should a feminist only be a woman or even men can be feminists?
But the thing is, feminism is an understanding. So a man, feminists want to say you can be an ally of feminists. A feminist is more of a woman. But also, I believe in the school of thought that we can all be feminists, but not hear a man call himself a feminist and call himself a feminist ally. That obikirizamu ate obikola kitegeeza oli ally obitegere ekigambo ally. So in feminists they call them feminist ally. Omusajja abeera feminist ally. Naye omusajja avaayo n'agamba feminist. Ogamba n'omubuuzako ebibuuzo 3 ojasanga nga waliwo ebituli. Naye ally abeera n'ebituli naye nga waliwo byategeera. Mpozi ninzeko olaba feminist male naye nga they are feminist allies. Ng'abikirizamu abikola era abeera ally. But women are feminists according to what we understand. But we can all be feminists. The word ally is just an addition.
Before you give us your manifesto for Nakawa 2021-2026, I want you to speak to that young girl who is watching us. Awedde mwesuubi osanga maybe naye ayina ebirooto naye ayina okwekubagiza oba ayina okutya nga she needs someone to talk to her to. Could you speak to that person that is watching us and she is a young girl?
So what I would want to say is, as young women, nti waliwo gashumba jayagala nnyo gamba kisoboka. Bobi Wine atulaze nti kisoboka.
Yes, true.
Museveni naye atulagako dda nti kisoboka. Ne Katumba oyo atulaze nti kisoboka. Tulawo welowooze ogambe nti kino nja gisobola. Kisoboka ojja gikola. Naye nga mu byonna toggwamu busuubi. So it is very important as a young woman to understand your situation. Kkiriza nti olina ekizibu kino. Ebiseera ebisinga tetwagala kkiriza ekizibu kye tulina. Noteeka moto nnyo amaanyi. Ebintu bisobola beera nga bisoboka. Naye wadde bisoboka, nina ekizibu ki. Sooka omanye kiringa okukola SWOT analysis. Mukwano sooka omanye SWOT analysis y'ekizibu kyo. Strength yange eriwa. Nina amaanyi ga ssente, nina amaanyi g'abantu, nina amaanyi gange ng'omuntu. Nti bw'oba omanyidde ekyo n'omanya weakness yeki ki ekikulemesa osobola gyetakolinga atya giyingiremu kwaawo osooka otereze ebi weaknesses eziri awo nti oba owulira nti oyagala beera woman MP kati oyagala wulira nti oyagala beera woman MP tula kati otereze ogambe qualifications za MP mu Uganda ziki tiwoba oyagala agendako Bulaaya oyagala kufunako emirimu eyo oyagala beera ka reporter oba oyagala ki kyonna qualifications eki okubeera ekyo kyoyagala sooka obifunye ebyo gwenanda weakness bwoba ogifunye kati lwana entalo zo buli bwokiriza nti osobola lwana entalo zo ate ojja gimala wadde ogwa they say for any leader the number of times you fall tekulaga kikyoli but the number of times you rise shows your character. Falling is not you,
rising is you. Ndowooza gwe munaffe atulaba ndowooza oyizemu ekyokuyiga kati saawa eno twagala kuwulira ku manifesto y'omukyala Rebecca for Nakawa ayogedde ku education agamba amasomero gyegali naye ate egali expensive. What plan do you have to solve that problem? Because it is a problem. Amasomero go Nakawa egalina naye ate abantu abali mu Nakawa can't afford school fees ezega amasomero oyina plan ki? What is your manifesto?
So my manifesto has 4 main issues. It has the most important issue is unity. Abe Nakawa tulina okwekwatiramu
because go mawanga magatte kikulu nnyo ekyo
tulina okwekwatiramu ddala ddala tulina okweyambira mu kitundu kyaffe. And so I want to speak to unity. Kyebangambye nti njogera ku unity nengamba nti njagala funa engeri gye twekwatiramu tutandikire ekintu kyaffe nga tusanyukiramu tuyigiramu ate nye tuva tujijukire. Omanya ebiseera ebisinga baba tujukira wovudde tosobola manya in and out okeera n'okola ki naye nga tewali kitugatta. So I want to bring our history back to us as the people of Nakawa. I want to bring our cultures back to us. That even while we're the United Nations of Nakawa, we know our roots, we understand our histories, and we embrace each other with the understanding of their histories. I want to speak to unity in the area of allocation of resources. Nti bino empalana z'obulira ezekitundu entonotono eziri awo tugisortinge. I want to be Councillor Luwedde.
Oh yes.
Nti abantu nti bakutukirako mangu ne bakulaba ne basanyuka naawe nga n'ekitundu wali musanyu njirabye eyitawo naye njagala giyongeramuko etoffaali. But also I want to speak to my second thing is social cohesion. Social cohesion, I want to speak to the connectedness. Nti wadde tumanyi kye tuli connected. Njagala beera that council that is connected, and this is in areas of justice. Connected is in justice, in how we are going to give ourselves things to do with delivery of justice issues. Like nti nga wengambye tulina abaana bangi. We have not been just to our own young people, and the world has not been just to us. And so I need to be connected and offer that justice to them. I want to speak to the areas of economic justice, social justice, and political justice. Nti omwana atuulaawo namanya economically waliwo byasobola afuna. Maama atuulaawo n'agamba nti yewe bagenze akoze mu katale waliwo byagenda afuna bulungi ayitewo abeere ng'asobola beezaawo family we. Titaata waba agenze okola amanyi abaana be bali bulungi waka. Tewali moto gegenda tumira mwana. Titewali omuntu agenda okubba omwana we. Nti maka gateredde. Kubanga ebisinga byonna maka tulina obeera nga eriteredde. That is under social justice. So we have programs that we are going to do that, which is around things to do with community sensitizations. I want to enhance the capacities of bana abakyala mu kitundu. Bakyala bali overwhelmed. Era nsimye nnyo abakyala abo bayamba nnyo ekitundu kyaffe. Omwana abuze omwana bamukute mu bubbi amutuuze amusomesezza batolaba waliwo engeri yonna government egeza kumuyamba. And so in one of my strategies njagala kwasaganya ebintu ne bana abakyala ne ba LC1s nti kubanga awo amaanyi bampa amaanyi. So I want to be able to work with them to actually do what they call a moral lift to the community. I don't love to use the word moral because moral may be different for other people. But moral lift is to literally, it's to build the structure starting from the Nabachalas and also enhance their capacities. Ebiseera ebisinga banabakyala batwala before bino naye nga tebalina we batandikira. Naye we bankoze ka lift awo n'abakyala nemusomesa muko ab'ekikanso awo ne babeera bulungi waliwo engeri yakwasaganya ekitundu kyo nga naawe otudde eri oteesa mu kanso naye ng'omanyi nti ewuwo waliwo akwasaganya ensonga. So I want to properly utilize those structures and boost them up as well as a councillor at 5. And this would be not only from my political learning but also from my experience in the other line of work of NGO. I also want to, that is under the social justice. I want to do community justice centers in a sense that in these justice centers we are able to sort our issues. Siraba lwaki omwana wa 16 years mutwala ku juvenile prison tilwakubya byenkoko nga sobola mutuuza ku lukiiko w'ekyalo n'abakyala ne LCC ne tugamba omwana wakoze kino
ngakoze kibi naye
tokiddamu naye kati ku sobi kyokoze ogenda tulane n'abakyala n'abano
ogenda kirininga ekyalo
bibyo naye ebiseera ebisinga tulina abajuvenile waliwo eyeesimbye hofu nawulira nga agamba nti bagenda zimba komera y'abaana kati abaana baagala batwala mu komera namba
tekikola makulu
omwana w'omutandikira ku myaka egyo nayingira komera obeera omudistroys the whole future but woba omutandikidde mpola mpola nti womukute mu nsobi n'omuyingiza mu system n'otamuwa punishment n'omuwanga example wabanne oba ye kenyini neyeewanga example. That is why I love where they are called community service. We have countries like Nigeria doing national youth service. So after university you go and do service. Naye katulakita tubeera ne community service Nakawa. Nti omwana wamukuta atambula ekiro ali 15 years
katale
omuze omukwate bulungi aduse mu ssomero omukwata bulungi n'omugamba tuddeyo mu ssomero n'abakyala akusanze oddayo mu ssomero nga bahena basi omwana abadde avuddeyo ku ssomero kati tumutwale kati bunaka asimuleko office yo oba kale afuke PA wo mu ssomero anti ayagala nnyo tambula
nga alina okureportinga mu office buli lunaku aba tagenda kwebba
ayiga osoma.
That is how they kept my brother in school. Nga alina okureportinga mu office ya director buli lunaku asaininge.
But so many times we want to just be the iron hand of power, and so we end up destroying the future. But sometimes being the iron hand is actually being the soft hand of power. And so I want to change that thinking. Tikansala wabera muntu wadde mungo sobola mutukiza ngo sobola sekana. Tino omwana wadde omukute mu nsobi amanyi kansala kati abagenda okumpa emirimu kireero bagenda okukola nti naye nga tatidde nti leero nfudde ndi mukomera ngenda sula mu police station. And so for me that speaks to the social and also political part of it. I want to speak to social unity, justice and cohesion. Yes.
There was a manifesto.
No kuba representing abulungi mu council. Nti amateeka ngandwe ngambye nga sijinyenya munga nimanyi kyenkola.
Omanyi kyokola. There was a mumuulidde bulungi nnyo ebibuuzo byondowooza sibiraba bingi nnyo naye ate mbebaza bwebaza nti mwebale kubeerako ababadde baagala Oluganda nsoose kwetonda nga programu yaffe etandika ne mbagamba omuntu gwe tulina Oluganda si lulungi nnyo Oluganda lweso ne tumuwa akozese language gyali comfortable naye nga Brian Magara okuva eri Masindi obaddeko ng'olaba mukwano webale kubeerako David Sekunya you watch from Dubai every day munange webale tukeererangako buli lunaku ng'olaba mwena ababaddeko tumusime kato mwena ababaddeko nze mbebaza bwebaza nti mwebale kutulaba ate mu dakiika 2-3 ngenda kuwa Rebecca omukisa asibule kuba tulaba.
Neyanziza nnyo neyanze okuhostinga
ndowooza osabe n'akalulu sinakuwulira ng'obasaba kalulu
nyabo ntuukayo kyengeza bana neyanziza nnyo neyanze alternative okuhostinga neyanziza nnyo emirimu gino neyanziza otuwa platform ey'okwogera naye nga mu byonna neyanziza nnyo okumpa amaanyi ng'ab'e Nakawa n'abayuth kubanga ntudde wano naye sinalabako owa kala eri ey'amagezi mangi ate nga kyekiri kituufu balina amagezi naye naffe tulina amaanyi n'amagezi gonna kati neyanziza nnyo otula nammwe abavubuka bannange ate mu byonna neyanziza nnyo ab'e Nakawa okunkiriza nti mbakiri wakati okutwala just okuyimirira awo ne mumpa kaadi ne bagamba ebeki tugenda gezaako tukuwe akalulirira ddala bampe akalulu. I am so grateful that I am now standing and people are appreciating this calling and people are appreciating that yes, we have issues in Nakawa. And so I want to thank everyone that has supported this campaign, that is supporting this campaign to council. And I want to request the people of Nakawa, especially Nakawa 4, in the affirmative action they call it for women, they call it Nakawa C, which are the areas of Mbuya 1, Mbuya 2, Chiswa, Bugolobi, Nakawa Parish, and Nakawa institutions, which has MOB and ITEC. To vote for Achom, Rebecca Adile, for LC5 Woman Councillor. You will be equally and effectively represented. I keep on saying equally because ngenda chikira abasajja n'abakyala n'abaana bonna ab'enakawa wadde ekifo ky'abakyala and properly represented. Nti kansala wo ojja mulaba nomanyi nti amaanya g'ogiraba era weba noonya akalulu ngamba omukyala nti bw'oba otunula ku TV ng'owadde akalulu manya nti Becky weba ayogedde nawe oli kwogera nti amaanyi weba ntadde eri amaanyi go gennyini gye ntadde eri nti sobi weba ngikoze nawe obeera ogikoze. So tulina okwekwatira mu kibangambye nnyo ka unity.
Yes, tukwatire wamu tubeereyo. Era nsembayo ngamba saba akalulu ka LC5 Woman Councillor mutulonda nga January 2 akabonero ke kaki smuluzo ndi mukyala wa FDC yakutte kaadi ya FDC Nakawa era tuli ba one Uganda one people nga United Nations of Nakawa United Nations of Nakawa abatulaba njagala okubeebaza mwe bali kubeerako okuva eri gye tutandikidde ku ssaawa emu paka ate wano we tugenda okukomekereza programu yaffe y'olunaku lwaleero. Nkoze n'omukyala Lilian Luwedde njagala ate muddiza akazindaalo abasiibuleko then zigalewe programu.
Mwebale kubeera balabi balungi okuva gye twatandikidde n'okutuuka wano we tunaatera okuwunzikira n'omugenyi waffe omukyala Achom. Tumweyanziza nnyo obubaka obwawadde abaana abawala nti abamu batya okuyimirira because balinamu that fear. So afunyemu ekyokuyiga twala ekyo naawe wenna amisinzi osobola okuddayo programu eno n'ogiraba okuva ku ntandikwa yaayo paka ku nkomerero. Ogenda ku Facebook page yaffe The Alternative Uganda then n'olaba programs zonna ze wamisinga okutandikira ku eno n'endala gye ziri nnyingi nnyo emabega. Amanya nze Lilian Luwedde koze ne Farida Bikobere. Omugenyi waffe yabadde omukyala Achom Rebecca, Jeremiah Mukiibi yabadde mu byuma, omukyala Teddy Tenjo Nabukeera yabadde ku kamera, Elizabeth Musiitwa awamu ne Arnold Mukose Anthony beba director baffe ab'olunaku olwaleero, Katoto Musiime yabadde ku nkato nga atuvuga, n'omwami Ferdinand yabadde ko driver ku makubo wano nawali tuyite wano tuyite wali. Tugenda kusinkana olunaku olw'enkya n'omugenyi waffe gwe tunaaba tuleese naye nga mbakubiriza nti musigaleeko era musigalireeko ddala nga mulaba na programs zaffe zonna zibeerayo ku mitimbagano nga Facebook awamu ne YouTube. Era kati aba YouTube twalabye mutandise okuduplicatinga shows zaffe.
Abasajja aba online medias Uganda munange twagala okubawoninga nti programs zaffe zina copyright. If you want to rebroadcast our shows, could you please get to us tubawe permission etekayo shows zaffe. It is always okay okukola broadcast mu show yaffe naye nga ate tobisse bintu byaffe ng'olaga nti you own the show. Banaye online media Uganda tubasaba ate tubawoninga mulekerawo ku broadcasting shows zaffe tuba tuteeseyo ku YouTube nga ate tetubawadde permission. I remember when Ariye Garuga, I was put in the same group with Achom, and she told me, you know, Farida, it is okay to relearn and unlearn some things. You can unlearn biola bantu tebikolera mbulamu, and you can relearn and learn new things. I want to give it to you. Bakampa, I still echo it everywhere I want to do some other things and those at Chigenda Kola. She told me it is okay. You can unlearn, relearn, and learn. So munange gwaliye yo oloza no nabankuza ngamba mukazi alina kugondera omusajja tolina kulekana. It is okay to unlearn those things culture oba community be atuteekamu because your community eli patriarchal ekulumiza nnyo omusajja ate okusinga omukazi. Naye nga ate leero kkooti yaffe guidance discussion yaffe ebadde nti if people doubt how far you can go so far that you can't even see them. If people doubt how far you can go so far that you cannot even see them. Ndowooza tulabagane olunaku olundi ebadde Might Drive gye program gy'obadde olaba enkya tulina Becky batamuliza gwe tulina enkya. She's a very intelligent woman. Esaawa ebeeremu mpaka saa 3 tugenda kuba tunyumyamuko naye bingi byogenda okuyiga so nze nkusaba busabi beerako gwatana tweyungako page eri The Alternative Uganda. Farida Bikobere, The Might Drive. See you tomorrow same time.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Hey Ugandans, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Dewa Kiki, the Deputy Defense Spokesperson and actually the Deputy Spokesperson for the Uganda People's Defense Forces. I was hosted on Alternative Dig Talk. I encourage all Ugandans that this is the way to go. Always watch, participate, give your views and ask questions on Alternative Dig Talk. Dig Talk, the way to go.
The world is at a critical moment of providing innovative alternatives as a means to create change.
As such, we have created a not-for-profit alternative mobile digital platform as a way to promote space for freedom of speech and expression to the unheard voices.
We know you believe in the cause and you can further it more by contributing to its sustainability in forms of internet data, fuel, and any other support you deem relevant.
Please support us with your contribution to Equity Bank account number 103-5201-607252 under the name Alternative Digital, or our mobile money numbers 0702 900076 or 0783 047785. Alternative Digital, real issues, real talk.
Where there is a lot of violence, for example, police brutality. A lot of you are being beaten up, the voters and the people from the opposing side. So election is just that period where we get free money.
An election is a process through which people choose to vote a person or a group of people to hold an office of leadership.
Did you know that you have the power to determine on who leads you? Did you know that your vote has the power to change your society and the country at large?
Dear citizens, please vote wisely. Don't vote money, but vote issues.
Dear parents, I can't make any decision.
Your choice determines my future.
Fellow students, exercise your right. Go and vote.
Abafumbira mwese muzaze tugende tutera karuru.
Abanyayuganda mwena mugende mutera karuru.
Bashange face face yihule kucha hodole.
Abantu nyana mujje tugende tukome.
Genda oronde.
Your vote.
My vote. Our vote is our present and our future.